How you feeling?
Wrung out.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
12 levels of a constant struggle to exist.
There used to be places that you could go rent games.
Yeah.
They don't even exist anymore. You can't rent games like that anymore. Now it's all online.
Yeah.
But we'd go in down there and they'd have like boxes. And you take the box to the front desk and then they hand you a cartridge.
Yeah.
And then you can rent the cartridge for a few days. What were the games that we rented the most?
You mean after Peter Pan?
I mean, you only got to rent that mistake once.
Well, we always thought we could maybe get somewhere on it.
It had really good cover art. The first level was really nice. The second level was terrible. You know, the funny thing is, I actually played Peter Pan for a very long time. And I used an emulator to cheat. And I still didn't finish it.
Beat it.
There was a mentality for game design back then that if you didn't have enough content, you just make it harder so that way people take longer to beat it. Because they figure once you beat it, you never want to play it again.
I hate this game. I hate this game a lot.
So they figured you stretch content just by making it more difficult.
Interesting.
I
thought maybe they're just not that good at at playing, making it real and making it playable and making it fun and challenging without being oppressive and just
dumb.
Thing is, there were games on the original Nintendo that were pretty good. Even by today's standards, they still play well.
Yeah.
But there's so few of them. And the thing is, every generation of games, there's a handful more that are actually playable in a more real kind of way. Like, what do you think the best game for the 64 was? Your favorite game?
Yeah, tanks.
You know that, that was your favorite game.
Oh. Well, it's really a good feeling that you've really done something when you have enough tanks that lined up in rows, they completely go off.
Your extra lives were little tank icons.
Yeah, your tank
and then enough tank icons would just eventually go off the screen because you got so good at it.
Row after row after row. That I felt really good about that.
You should. That was an impressive feat for a mediocre game. You think you could do it today?
Yeah. You don't?
I think the biggest things that we rented were a handful of games that were really co-op games that we could play together.
Yeah.
Because
that was the object.
Well, there's no fun in playing a game that's just a single player when there's two of us who would play together.
It could last longer than 2 minutes per episode.
Sure, but I mean, I played less by myself than I did with you. And so we'd play something like Al Unser Jr.'s Road to the Top. That's just Road to the Top. And then we'd rent games like Final Fight. But we didn't call it Final Fight.
What did we call it?
Kick Butt.
Yeah, well.
What did we call it?
That was one way of saying it.
What did we call it?
Yeah, Kick Butt. Yeah. Very simple, very easy.
One button.
And it will only last an hour.
Which is great.
Yeah. At the end of the hour, you've worked out your aggressions or whatever it is that you have to work out.
Yeah.
And you feel good, and it's time to quit. And it wasn't overload.
No. I think that's a big part about it. And I've said this before. I really appreciate a game that knows how much content it has and then respects your time by not drawing out something boring or tedious or exhausting.
Yeah.
And really getting to let's get to the point here.
Don't game developers with hundreds of people that work on them, don't they have test audience or test players?
Yeah.
And don't they get the feedback or don't they listen to it? Because I don't think anybody wants to, what one are we talking about right now? The one we played yesterday. It's 3 hours. It
Yeah.
felt like 3 hours.
It was about 3 hours.
And then we died. I had died a couple of times.
Yeah.
And so we had to redo some of it. But
Well, it was also our first time.
yeah,
really
first time through.
playing it.
Yeah, do a lot better. Well, you do better the second time through. I wouldn't.
So one thing that when we started playing that really stuck out to me immediately was what are the differences between the game that we had been playing, which is the Final Fight series. Just the last one we played was Final Fight 3, which I feel like was probably the natural evolution of where Final Fight was going.
Okay.
That you could start running, you had some special abilities, you had more characters. The fluidity of combat got a lot better. The animations were better. It was just, you could see the natural progression.
Yeah.
So when we started Streets of Rage 4, granted it's not a Final Fight game, I was looking to see where would the next step of natural evolution go.
Right.
And one of the things I noticed immediately was like, you can't run. Like that's not default for all characters. Only a handful of characters can even move quickly. And that immediately became problematic because, you said this when we were playing it. You feel slow. You feel sluggish. You feel like you're not moving at the speed of everything else around you.
Right.
And especially when you get later in the game, you have enemies that are running and using projectile weapons and stuff like that. You're missing that. You're missing the ability to properly combat that. Now you're given a lot of flashy abilities, but your core problems are you can't block anything, and you can't run, and there's no parry. So someone can't take a swing at you and you could block it and
forth,
counterpunch them.
Right. I just felt, slow and ineffectual. I'd have to watch. Talking right now, that gives me an idea of maybe there's a strategy to this. It isn't just brain dead heaving and hitting. It's you kind of look at your enemy and you think about it and think about how that enemy moves. And well, you have you have so much more experience and success than I do. You can look at it and say, okay, so this is what this one character is going to do. This is that character's moves. This is what they telegraph, and I will act accordingly.
Right.
And unfortunately, I'm a Neanderthal, and I'm slugging my way through the thing.
You were playing kick butt. You just hammer one button. It does exactly what you tell it to do, and you just hammer your way through it. And you trade blows sometimes, but really you came to just hammer your way through. I was playing a fighting game.
Maybe the second time, if I would ever play it again, I don't know that I want to play 3 hours, but if I were ever to play it again, I would take your advice and I would approach it differently and maybe stand back and maybe. But when I get hit, I just want to hit back.
Right.
It's just a reactionary thing.
Well, that's what you train to do. Is just you've trained to go in there and just hammer. That's what you train to do.
That's what you train to do. Is just you've trained to go in there and just hammer. And that's the thing. That's what makes Final Fight.
So after looking at the footage for a while, and especially looking at what we were talking about and how we felt about it, I realized that we should have gone through the tutorial and spent some time really figuring things out properly. So we're doing a tutorial round right here to kind of get things... What are you doing? Get him. Use your forward attack on him next time he stands up. Forward attack.
What? Who hit me?
using magnetic bullshit. Hit him one more time. He's almost gone. Only one hit left. Got him. Cool, we got him. That was substantially better than last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you know what? I have to take back all of my criticism because it really does. I have like maybe one or two moves that I might remember about half the time.
Yeah.
But just even knowing to use them, much better experience.
Right.
It could be just like when we used to do this when you were only 7 years old. You remember, son? We used to play beat 'em up, and now we're doing it again. Give me a 5.
And the world's safe for democracy.
Yes, the world is going to be safe for democracy.
Yeah,
don't you forget it.
What I realized with this one is that there's so many more moves that I generally feel like when we played the first time were kind of superfluous, but if you're having a hard time getting the basics down, sometimes the tutorial's the way to go. Yep,
absolutely. I would have to sit down and practice this by myself so I could get a little muscle memory going. But just learning, halfway learning two things, made it a lot better experience.
Right.
I'm not like, punching backwards.
Yeah,
And again, I do find myself going into speed mode when you should actually be
button mashing mode is really what you should call it.
Yeah, button mash.
Well, I think the thing is this was ultimately kind of a failure on my behalf of not sitting you down and teaching you all of it. I think that we were just trying to translate too quickly.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. And it was painful, and it almost, had you not come back, and said, I looked at what you were doing, and you were punching backwards, etc.
Yeah.
Well, and I will also help you do, a little tutorial. And I think that you took it, you took it about as far as it could go for one moment, because I only have, 4 bytes of RAM in my random access memory at this age. But I can see that I would get better, a whole lot, very quickly.
Yeah.
The learning curve is there.
I think ultimately the takeaway from this is don't be afraid of using the tutorial and spending some time to get to know things a little bit better. Then I guess I'm going to ask the question again. Would you want to play it again?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, honest, I really would.
The last word, just like, yeah. I don't want to.
You're going to make me cough now. Oh.
What's more of a beat up, the game or how you feel about yourself after you played it?
Yeah, well, that's what it was. It's the last time. This time I don't feel so bad.
Okay.
Yeah, so it isn't a complete negative, and so I can say, yeah, I played again, just not right now.